I am Rachel Girot, Girot, and I am the 504 coordinator here at Utah Virtual Academy. So I basically am kind of like a case manager for all of our students that have a 504 plan. There's a difference between 504 and special education. It's pretty simple. So with special education, students have disabilities, but they need specialized instruction to help them to be successful. So often they'll have a co-taught class or a resource class where a special education teacher is there to support or facilitate individualized instruction for that student based on goals. So a 504 plan is a little bit different. It's for students that have any type of impairment, any type of disability where they need accommodations. So they don't need specialized support like instructionally. They don't need someone to go in and teach them different like skill gaps that they're missing. It's not like that. It's more like I broke my arm and I'm not gonna be able to type with that hand. So if there's a writing assignment, it's gonna take me like 5 times longer than other students to write it. So could you reduce my assignment length for me? Or could I have a scribe that could write that or type that for me? Things like that. Or it might be a student that has some type of sleep apnea and they can't sleep at night. And so when classes start in the morning, they're just finally getting to sleep now and they can't attend the live classes. So they're going to be watching recordings. And sometimes it's students that are in the hospital having treatments done and they can't go to school while they're in the hospital and they're not feeling well. Or there's just, imagine any type of possible illness that you can that impacts somebody's ability to be successful under the normal average conditions in school. And so they're just needing extensions and maybe a little bit of modifications to their workload. If they start to fall behind, that's going to create more anxiety. And the more anxiety they have, they're more likely to just freeze and not do anything. So you kind of want to keep an eye on these kids and be proactive. And if you notice they're starting to slide, you don't want that slippery slope effect where now they're not doing anything. So whatever that you can do to help these kids, just do it. If it's not an accommodation that's provided, but you know it's something that you can do to help the kid out and they're still going to be able to demonstrate mastery of the concepts, then just do it. And you know, you don't have to have a 504 plan in place to provide accommodations for students when you can see that there's a need. You just do it because you're a good teacher and you have empathy and you understand that we all get into situations and need a little bit of help, right? So do it. And just in case you don't have an organizational system set up yet, I'm just going to share a couple of ideas about how you can keep all of this information organized and easy to find. So one of the most awesome things is Natalies spreadsheet generator. When you use this spreadsheet generator, what it does is it will create a spreadsheet that has all of your students' information. So this is what it looks like, sort of, after you use Natalies spreadsheet generator. Look at how fantastic this is. I've got the student ID, the last name, the first name. I actually created a new column and I have got like my students when they've logged in. This is a little bit outdated. I need to update it today, but all these students I know in this class have not logged in. I've got whether they're full-time or part-time. I've got their gender, their grade level. Here it shows whether they have a 504. So if it says yes, you know that student has a 504. And special ed, if it says yes, you know that they have an IEP plan. So you can find ways, and usually what I'll end up doing is they shouldn't have both, but sometimes occasionally they do. But I will go in and I will highlight those yeses so that they're kind of on my radar, if that makes sense. And you could actually, if you wanted to, you could just grab all of your 504 or IEP kids and you could put them at the top of your list. You can just cut and insert those so that they're all together. And if you do that, it might take you a little bit of time up front, but that can save you time later on when you are in a situation where someone's contacting you saying, how come my students' accommodations aren't being provided? So you don't ever want to be in that situation. Now, one of the nice things about online school is that generally most accommodations that students need are built in, but as a teacher, you always want to have that proactive kind of feel for parents that says, hey, I'm going to reach out to all of these students. I'm going to say, I realize that you have a 504 plan, and I just wanted to reach out and ask if there's anything that in particular that I can help you with in this class. That kind of a thing. You can do that. The other thing nice thing about Natalie's spreadsheet generator is that it gives the phone number, it tells the learning coach's name, you get the learning coach's email, you get the student K-12, you know who the mentor is, so if you need to email mentors about specific students, the email's right there, you know who the counselor is. So this is just fantastic. And this notes column doesn't come with the spreadsheet generator. I insert it and I create notes. And that way, as I'm going throughout my day, instead of pulling up total view all at one time, which can be a little time consuming, I just always have my spreadsheet open. And let's say that this student contacted me and I'll just be like, 826 emailed about extension granted until Friday. Something like that. I have that in my notes. I keep notes every single time a student contacts me in here. And then at the end of the day, because you have your dates on there, you can just go in and you can filter for the date. And so just go sort, I'm in the home page, sort, custom sort, and I can sort by notes. And I can go, I don't know if I need to go Z to A. Let's see. Z to A. Okay, there it is. By date. Notes come up. I probably could have just sorted by 504s too. So I can see in my day how many students contacted me on 8/26. I can go into my classroom and under students, as you know, there's a little check mark down here, and for FERPA reasons, I'm going to move this way over here so that you don't see the student's full name, and scroll down, and I'll just check a couple, right? So you check their names, and then when you do that, you can create a new message, new note. So wanting to create a note. Boy, keeping this FERPA sure is fun. And then you're gonna hit your template and you're gonna go for that enduring connection call, and you can just go ahead and made contact with student. Now you can do that bulk, right? So let's say you had 10 kids that reached out to you that day, you made a contact with them, great. It says it wants you to put something in here, made contact, okay? So then you save that, and then you've made your enduring connection call with that student for the week. That's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And then you can also make sure that, you know, you put in here enduring connection call note made in TV for those students. You don't necessarily have to do that in here, but that just, I kind of always like to know what I've done and haven't done when I'm dealing with my students, because if somebody ever contacts me and asks me any questions about a student, I have all of my notes that I've ever made right here, and I can just go copy, and I can put that in the email. And let's say I had other dates too, so I was like 8/24, attempted contact, no answer, left message, 8/22, sent welcome letter. So I can copy all of the information that I've ever had on that student if somebody ever has a question, and I can just put that in the email and say, this is the communication that I've had with that student. Oftentimes it'll be, you know, things like the parent contacted me about this or that or whatever, or I haven't been able to contact the student at all. Okay, so this is one way to keep everything organized. And what you can do also is you could, because I'm going to be sending you a link, you could insert a new space here, and you could put link to 504 plan. And for these students right here, you could copy that link to the accommodations, and you could paste that link in there. So anytime you're wanting to pull up that student's accommodations, you can. And then you could also do the same thing. I know that the special education department has a way for you to get accommodations, and there's probably a link. You could put the link to the IEP in here. So you could have your links right there, and you don't have to keep those wide open. You can just kind of close those like that so that they're not taking up a ton of room on your spreadsheet. But anytime you need them, boom, you just click on them, boom, they're going to open up in a new window so that when you're going to call that parent, you have that information right there. And then for some of you, you've been hearing about OneNote. OneNote is really fantastic. When I get a new OneNote file, I'm going to... I think you can just go File, New, and create a new notebook. So I'll just do 504 example here, and I'm going to create this notebook. It's going to put it in my OneDrive. So, or I can also put it in my PC if I want to. I'm just going to go ahead and let it put it in my OneDrive because I think that that's like the cloud. So that's going, or I can browse and decide where I want it to be. But I know that OneNote folders, I believe, yep, are automatically in my documents. That's where they're always at. So these are all of my OneNote notebooks, okay? Everything that's in OneNote is in here. So if I'm ever wanting to back it up, but if I do it to OneDrive, I shouldn't have to back it up. It'll probably be in the cloud, but if I'm ever wanting to back it up, this is where I need to go. I need to go to my OneNote notebooks and just copy all of those over onto an external hard drive, and I have all of my OneNote stuff backed up. You know, I know that you know this. You're supposed to back up your stuff weekly. I know that most of us don't have time to do a weekly backup, but it is good to do it quarterly at least. So try to remember, and then if all else fails, at least back it up during spring break when you get that week off. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and click create, and it's going to be all the way at the bottom here. Well, hold on. Okay, there we go. Little glitch. So here's my 504 example. I can grab that and I can move that up here to the very top. Okay, for my example. So this could also, instead, you could have named it, and I don't think it's going to let me rename it. I'd have to go over to my folders to rename it. But I was saying earlier, you could do like, instead, you could do a special programs, and that way you could have like a 504 tab. You could have a IEP tab. What else is there? ELL tab. And so what you can do is when you get those emails from me is you could copy all of that information down, put the first student's first and last name here, and then you could just paste the data there. And then the nice thing about that is anytime you're wanting to know if a parent calls or a teacher or myself or a case manager, anybody gets a hold of you and is asking about a student, then you can just go F last and boom, there it is, and it shows it's in my 504 example notebook, and it'll bring me right to it when I double click on it. So you can see you can have your list of 504 students here. Now I love using OneNote here because although it was great that you had that link in your spreadsheet for quick access whenever you need it, Sometimes if you do have a situation for a student, you might want to keep a running log of notes here too, so that you can easily find it without having to go into total view. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get into total view and look up a student and search for what you're searching for, right? So if you also keep your little list of running notes here as well, that can be helpful. So you're sitting in class and you can open up your OneNote book and you've got your list of students that have 504s or IEPs or ELLs. And you're just kind of skimming through your list and you're going, oh, I can see so-and-so's in class today and they're falling behind. I need to make sure that I pipe up and meet with that student today and make sure that we're building that relationship so that my student is feeling confident about asking for help when they need it. Okay, so I know that was a really long video, but if you're new, hopefully it was helpful because ding, you want to be happy in the workplace and you want to be able to find stuff. Okay, so use that one notebook. I'm telling you, that whole being able to just search it up and pull it up really quick. Like if you have a question in Trillion and you're like, hey, what was the link to that? And like within seconds, someone's like, here it is. They probably are using OneNote because it's really easy to find things. All right, well, good luck this year. I'll be sending out accommodations each block, and I'll also send them out as we are reviewing the plans and rewriting 504 plans and updating you as new accommodations are rolling out for those students. So just get your organizational system in place so that when you get those emails, you're just like, whoom, copy, paste, throw it over there, grab that link, put it in my spreadsheet. So you're just ready to go. You've got that information at the tip of your fingertips anytime you need it. All right, well, good luck this year. And if you need anything, if you have any questions, oh, also, I should say, if you have a student and they mention like, I have a chronic illness, I have severe anxiety, I have this, I have that, and you can tell that it's impacting their ability to be successful and they're needing some accommodations, let me know. That's called a 504 referral. And just like if you had a student that you could see was struggling academically, you're like, oh my goodness, this high schooler is reading at a 3rd grade level. And they don't have an IEP. I need to contact Joette Hayden, our child find specialist, and let her know that we have a student that might need to be tested. So whenever you have those concerns, that's called child find. And Joette Hayden is our child find coordinator. If it's not an academic, like it's not that they're reading at a 2nd grade level or whatever, it's just that they've got an impairment that's impacting them, like we talked about, broken arm, not able to sleep, things like that, contact me, Rachel Giroux, okay? If we think it's more than a 504 need, then I'll forward it on to Joette. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. You guys are awesome. Have a good year.